Hi guys, I've had a few requests from people about how to make the perfect naan, whether that's in the tandoor or in an oven, so I thought I'd do a little video. I normally don't make naan bread, I usually buy it if I'm brutally honest because it can be a bit of work, but I'm going to make some today. I'll probably freeze some of it afterwards so I can use it, but I'll briefly walk you through what you need. You need some yogurt, about 3 tablespoons. We're going to need about 150 ml of warm milk, so we'll warm that either in the microwave or on the stove. We need some weighing scales for some flour, 500 grams. I could only get self-raising flour, so usually I would use bread flour or normal flour with a teaspoon of baking powder, but I've omitted the baking powder because we're using self-raising today. We've then got some salt. I'm only going to need about half a teaspoon of salt. Garlic is optional. If you want garlic flavoured naan, I'd mix that in with the mixture. If you don't like garlic, just leave it out. We've got some butter there, some caster sugar. We're going to need about a teaspoon of sugar, some extra virgin oil, olive oil. We're going to need about 2 tablespoons of that. 1 small egg, some nigella seeds or onion seeds. You've got 2 options: either you put it in with the mixture or you put it on at the top afterwards. I'm going to put mine in with the mixture with the garlic, and then some yeast. So this is a 7-gram pack, so you can see there. Yeah. And the butter will be used to brush on afterwards at the end. So first things first, I'm going to measure out 500 grams of flour, and then next I am going to put the milk, the sugar and the yeast in a bowl. I'll let that react. I'll let the yeast react, and it should get frothy, and then I'm going to mix flour, salt, the egg, the oil together, and we'll combine the two. We'll do some kneading. We'll do some resting off the mixture as well, and then we'll add in some seeds as well. So I'll come back in a couple of minutes. So I weighed out 500 grams of flour, and I've got a bowl, I've got a sieve, and I'm literally just going to work the flour. So I'm doing this one-handed. I'm just going to work the flour like that through the sieve to get rid of any clumps. I'll have to put the camera down to finish it properly, but you get the gist. So yeah, so we'll get some nice fine flour at the bottom, and then I will, once done that, I will heat the milk up. We'll mix the milk with the yeast and the sugar, and then we will combine this mixture with the salt, the egg, and I will beat the egg before placing it in there as well, and of course the olive oil. But that's 500 grams of flour, nicely put through the sieve, so it's there's no lumps in there. It'll just make it easier when putting all the mixture together, so I always recommend doing that. So I'm just going to reuse that bowl there. I'm going to heat up some milk, about 150 mils worth. I might need to add some water later on, so I am going to put the kettle on as well, just in case, and keep some warm water to one side. So I'm going to combine the sugar, the yeast, and the milk into this bowl here. I'll leave it for maybe 20 or 30 minutes and see how we get on, and it should all go nice and frothy. But I'm just reusing this measuring bowl rather than getting another one. So in here I'm going to put in the yeast. And then I'm going to put in a teaspoon of caster sugar. There we go. And then I'm going to add in the 150 mils of warm milk. So I just heated that in the microwave actually. So just give it a little bit of a mix. and that yeast should start to react, and then we should see it all gets frothy, so a bit's gone off the side, so I'll just put all that back in. Great, so I'm just going to wait a couple of minutes. I'm going to give it another whisk, not with a little spoon, probably, I've got a little whisk, I'll probably use that, and we'll come back and that should froth up. So I've just been using my little whisk, a little mini one, get the stuff off the side, and the reason why having it warm the milk anyways is it should work quicker. So that's all the yeast nicely dissolved. So you see those bubbles starting to appear. We should froth up some more. Just going to mix it again, just give it a good old mix, and then we'll leave that for 20 or so minutes. So in the meantime, whilst we're doing that, we will get to our flour. So here's the flour we sieved earlier. So I'm just going to create a well in the middle. There we go, nice little hole in there. So I've then got that egg. I cracked it and I've lightly beaten it in here. So if you're wondering what I did, cracked the egg, use a little fork, just did that, give it a good mix. So that will go into the hole. Get all that out. I've already sprinkled half a teaspoon of sugar over the foil at the top as well. So we're done. Then I'm going to take 2 tablespoons of oil, put that in there, and then we will give it a good old mix. And then once that's mixed, once this is all frothed up, we'll then combine the two and get our hands dirty. Just poured 2 tablespoons of olive oil in the well as well. So I'm going to mix all of this up, and then I will put it to one side, wait for the other bits and pieces to get together, and then we will combine the yogurt and then hopefully make a nice dough with it. Around half an hour has passed, and you can see it's all nicely frothy, and it took a few minutes to start actually. So my kitchen is quite cold, so I actually put it in the microwave. The microwave wasn't on, but it was warm on the inside, so I just left it in there, and that really helps. So make sure you're in a warm environment. There was lots and lots of more bubbles beforehand. They've gone down now, so that's nicely activated. So what I'm going to do is, I've now got a bigger bowl, and the reason why you need a bigger bowl is because the dough will rise. So I'm going to put some of this in there, and then put some of that in there. We'll mix it around, and then I will add more of the milk and yeast, etc., and more yogurt. Get it all combined, and then we shall add some yogurt. So we'll do that next. I'll put half the milk mixture and yeast in the big bowl, and about half of the flour as well. I'm just using my little mixer here. Difficult to do with one hand, so I'll just do a little bit and then do it properly when I put the camera down. So that's becoming nicely mixed up. So when that gets a bit dry, I'll add some more of that, and then some more of that, and then if the mixture at the end is too dry, I'll add a little bit of warm water to it. Otherwise, if it's perfect, then I should be okay. I do have a tiny bit of milk left actually, so I might even add more milk rather than more water. We'll see how we get on anyways. So mixed all of the milk into there, so it's quite runny. So I'm going to add some more flour next and mix everything mixed in, and it is quite dry. So I'm going to put the yogurt in next and give it a mix again, and then it looks like we're going to have to add some water or more milk to it, definitely. And it should get to a consistency where it's a nice dough, but it's not too sticky. That's the plan. So after adding the yogurt, it's a hell of a lot better, but it's not where we want it to be. So it's very hard. So I've got another 100 ml of milk. That's about half of it. So I'm going to mix that again, and I'll add a little bit by a little bit until I get to the structure that I need. I mix the milk in with the spatula, and then I poured a little bit of flour over it and floured the outside of the bowl, flipped it over a couple of times, and then I will knead for a good 5 or so minutes. And then once I've kneaded, I will rest it to rise. So about 10 minutes or so of kneading has passed, and I've got a nice bit of dough there. Obviously it gets very messy with your hands. Wear gloves if you want. Now, if your dough is too sticky, because maybe you put too much liquid in, then just put some more flour in. So mine is okay. It's a little bit sticky, but you want it a little bit sticky. If it's too sticky, put flour in, as I said, and then knead it again. The other trick is rip it into a few different bits. I'll try and do it with one hand. There you go. Bits like that. So mine's a little bit sticky. So I'm going to rip mine up a little bit and put a little bit of flour on top and then knead it again. And once I've done that, that's my dough done. And then I'm going to let it rise. I'm going to put a damp cloth over the top. I'm going to put it in a warm environment. It's going to take at least an hour or two, probably 2, and it should double in size. But get the texture right, guys. And see that? A little bit sticky, but not too sticky. Bit at a time. It's just a bit of toing and froing with it. Separated my dough a little bit, and I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of flour over it. More than enough. Mix it all up, knead it again, and I think we'll be done. I just wanted to show you that step, guys, because it is hard getting this texture right first time. And, you know, it just takes a bit of practice and a bit of time. So I'll knead that with both hands. It's obviously a messy job. And we should be done after that. So about 5 or so minutes later, and we have our dough. So it's not that sticky, slightly sticky, not that sticky. And following on the previous step, let's say you put too much flour on. Nothing stopping you from dipping your finger in, make your hands a little bit wet. If you have any areas where it looks a bit dry, or if you've got a bit of dough hanging off or similar. But that is looking good, guys. So what I'm going to do is spread it out a bit like this into a bit of a circle. Quite difficult with one hand, but I'm giving it a go. Then there we go. Then what I'm going to do approximately needs a couple of hours to rise. So I'm going to get a damp tea towel, put it over the top, and then I'm going to put it in a warm environment, and hopefully we should see it rise in the next couple of hours. So we have a damp tea towel. So what I did is, it's a dry towel, and then just put some water on both sides of the tea towel, just a little bit in the middle. The rest of it's dry. It's just a bit in the middle that's damp. So I'm going to put it in the microwave again. The microwave is warm. I've not got the microwave on. The microwave's completely turned off. I'm just keeping it in there. So I'm going to transfer it to over there in a second, and then we'll come back in 2 hours. But got a bit of mess to tidy up here. So I'm going to be rolling out the dough on here later on. Always recommend clean your surfaces twice with antibacterial spray before you use it to roll. That's now in the microwave. I should have really put some garlic in there if you wanted to have garlic naan. Decided against it. I mean, you put the garlic in at the end, crush some garlic, and then you mix it all up, and there you go. But I'm going to put garlic on at the end, I think, with the butter. But it's now in the microwave, and we'll come back in a couple of hours. Took her out the microwave, and she'd risen so much she touched the tea towel. So it has more than doubled in size. I'm going to leave it for a little bit longer because I'm not ready to cook yet anyways. I'm just tidying up the kitchen. So yeah, so far so good. Taking it from resting, I've just bunched it together and looks quite good. So I'm just going to knead it a little bit more. And do that for a few minutes, just make sure there's no air in it. I'm then going to take it out of this. So I've cleaned my worktop. I'm going to put some flour down. We'll take the dough out and I'm going to cut it into even bits. I'll see how many I can get out. I'm not planning on making large naans, just medium-sized ones, I think. So I'll do that next, and then once that's done, we will. Ooh, nearly forgot. Nigella seeds, need to add some of these in. Nearly forgot. Sorry guys about the filming, it's hard to do with one hand. I could have added the seeds earlier in the recipe actually, to be honest with you, even before just turn it around and then I can put some more seeds in. Spread them out a bit. And then just a few more seeds. There we go, perfect, plenty of seeds. So I'm just going to knead that a little bit more, get all those seeds mixed in, flour on here, we'll spit it out, and then what you should always do, guys, with the dough you're not working with, put it back in the bowl and put the tea towel back over it. So just taking the dough out, I've put some flour on the base. I'm just going to make this into a nice kind of a cylinder, and then I'm going to cut it up into even parts. The flour on the surface means it doesn't stick. I reckon I can probably get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 out of this, I think. Maybe 6. So I'm just going to make it into a cylinder, I'll chop it up, bits not using back into the dish. Put them into 6 pieces with a knife. So, oh, not gone through, need to cut them through properly. There we go. So I'll work with that one. These will go back into there. And I'll get the rolling pin out. This is my rolling pin. If you don't have one, you can improvise with some sort of cylinder. I am rubbing flour over it so the dough doesn't stick. You can also put oil on here if you want, but I prefer flour. And then I'm just going to roll this out a bit. Again, trying to do it one-handed is a challenge. If you haven't got enough seeds, you can always add a few more at this point. You can finish off using your hands like that. So that's a nice decent size for one person, I would say. Don't make it too thin. I'll show you the thickness in a second, and hopefully we should have a good result. So I'm going to cook these predominantly in the tandoor. I'll cook one in the oven just to show how it's done, because I know not everyone has a tandoor, and if you've watched my other videos, you know I love my tandoor, and I did make it myself. There's actually a video on my channel on how to make one. So there you go. There's your thickness. So hard to tell from camera. There's one down. And as I said, tea towel over the rest of the dough. Make the rest now. In terms of storing them, just make one as you go along, or if you need to make them in batches, get a bit of toilet roll, put it over the top, and put another one on top, then toilet roll, kitchen roll, and another one on top. So get a oven pan. I always have mine covered in foil just to make it easy to clean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of oil, very little bit of oil on here, just so the naan bread doesn't stick. And then I've got it on max temperature, 250 degrees. So I'm going to put this back in there. I've only just turned the oven on, and this is going to be super, super hot. And then we're going to put the naan bread in there, and then turn the heating down, and then fingers crossed it'll cook. And then we'll finish off with some butter and some garlic. I've just taken the tray out of the oven. Very, very hot. Just put a little bit of oil here for my naan bread, and I'm then going to put that in the oven. Use gloves. We'll cook that and we'll see what happens. So there's the naan in the oven now. Hopefully you can see that, and it's nicely rising already. It's only been in there for about a minute, still on maximum temperature. So we'll give that another couple of minutes. I might flip her over the naan around, and she was nice and fluffy. Hopefully you can see that. And then I've just put a little bit of butter in there to melt, and we'll brush that over the naan and she'll be ready. That's the naan out of the oven. Some nice melted butter. Spread it over the top. You could put the naan bread over some gas just to give it that authentic look, but you don't need to do it. And if you wanted some garlic taste, you put some garlic in there. So there you go, a nice oven made garlic naan, and she's nice and soft. So perfect. 30 minutes have passed. Let's have a look. Oh, good. So, yeah, 240 at the sides, 200 at the top, 240 at the bottom. So a little bit longer, and she'll get up to temperature and be ready to cook some naans. The tandoor is nearly hot enough, and here's some naans rolled out. I made a little one for my daughter. She's only 2, so she'll have one as well. Here's some butter, garlic, and coriander. So that's nice and runny. So that's going to be used to brush over the naans once they're cooked. A bit of water on the naan, and then put her in there. Just put already in. See, already they've puffed up at the bottom. Put another one in. Nicely done on there. That one's coming out nicely as well. I put one right at the top just to see how she gets on, but the best temperature is towards the bottom's quite hot. So I'm going to put the lid on. 3 minutes later they should be done. really nice and fluffy. Nice and fluffy. Perfect. Exactly how we wanted. So I did a bit of a test. Did some at the bottom layer, one at the medium, one at the top, just to see how long they took. Obviously the ones at the bottom were a lot warmer, and that bottom one's starting to brown already, which is brilliant. So once she's brown, she'll be ready to come off. The others are taking a couple of minutes longer. Fantastic. So we'll take them off, and then we will put some garlic, some coriander, and some butter over the top. So I'm using one of these, and I'm using a skewer to take these off. So I'll put that through the hole, get in behind it. Fiddly. A little bit broke off there, so I completely forgot to use a little bit of oil. Bit annoying. Try again. That one's better. There we go. A little bit left over. I'll try another one on the other side. Yeah, as I was saying, I forgot to say, oh, that one came off very easy. Sometimes it's good just to put a little bit of oil, as well as a little bit of water. So these are the naans that have come out. There was a couple that broke a little bit. I forgot to put a little bit of oil, so you should put the naan, a little sprinkle of water, a little bit of oil. Completely forgot the oil, but that's why it didn't stick, so didn't come off so easily. But that was perfect. So I'm gonna brush them. Just off camera there. And there you have it. Tandoor made naan bread. And you know what? It's not as easy as it looks. It is hard. You've got to try a few times to get perfected. I'm going to give mine a nice salt wash again tonight, because there was one stubborn one. This one, I think it was, that see, it broke here. There you have it, guys. Look at that. Perfect. Hope you enjoyed watching, guys. As ever, please subscribe to the channel for more tips and tricks, cooking and recipes. Finished naan, guys. Ready to be served.